So throughout the history of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, there has always been a best deck like in every other card game. However, in today's video, I'm going to explain what makes a Yu-Gi-Oh deck, or really any deck in any card game, a top tier deck. So what really makes a top tier deck? I'm going to split this video up into a few main points as to what makes a Yu-Gi-Oh deck good. To start, one of the most important things a deck needs to be top tier is this. Is there something broken about this deck? Now this could sound very vague, but let me explain. So obviously there are quite a lot of decks in every card game. However, the thing that separates a good deck from a top tier deck is having something that's just so much better than any other deck, or in other terms, broken. For example, Goki is a top tier deck currently in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh because it can easily generate an extra link with every link 2 or lower Nightmare, and a Tri-Gate Wizard that is co-linked by 3 monsters along with a Link Revo. Usually you can't get over this board. It sounds really difficult to do at first, and you would think it usually takes your entire hand. But the fact is, you can make an indestructible board with just 2 cards. And what's even more crazy is with the introduction of Summon Sorceress, you only need any 2 warrior type monsters to perform the combo. This leads me into my next point, which is consistency. Your deck might have a crazy combo or can amass a crazy amount of card advantage, but how often can it do that? If your deck can only do this 2 out of 10 games, then your deck probably isn't consistent enough to do well. However, the fact is that top tier decks can most of the time do the same thing every game. Obviously, every deck breaks, and that is to be expected in a game like Yu-Gi-Oh! However, most of the time, a top tier deck can do the same thing almost every game. A reason why ZOODIAC was so good was because it was highly consistent at what it does, because you only needed 1 card in order to amass crazy amounts of card advantage. That 1 card was ZOODIAC, RATPIER, and the fact was that there were quite a number of ways to access RATPIER, whether it was hard drawing the card, Fire Formation Tanky, ZOODIAC Barrage, or drawing Speed for Triceratops, searching Taka Tomborg, and making MX Saber Invoker. There were quite a lot of ways to get access to that 1 card. The ceiling of a deck is similar to what makes a deck broken in some cases, but the ceiling of a deck is really how much it can output. Power takes this and combines it with how fast it can get to the ceiling. When comparing Sky Striker, TRICKSTAR, and Goki, Goki has the much higher ceiling and is much quicker at getting to that ceiling, which in turn makes it a more powerful deck. Versatility is really important when it comes to a good deck. Obviously, there are some decks that just stick to the game plan, but others can adapt to the situation. For example, Sky Striker has an amazing toolbox that can usually adapt to whatever circumstance it is in. This toolbox is also very accessible because of Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. Now, Sky Striker Mobilize Engage is what makes Sky Striker a top tier deck, as the draw power you get off this card is insane. As while you have 3 spells in your graveyard, you additionally get a draw along with your search. This is where the ceiling of the deck is raised, or why this deck is broken. This deck is also very consistent as you want to see Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, and in unison with the Link monsters, this card is pretty easy to access. Now hopefully you can start seeing how the gears are turning and how these decks become top tier. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the grind game of a deck, or you can put it as the longevity of a deck. This just basically means how long your deck can last before running out of gas, or in other terms, how long you can keep going until you run out of resources. Now in some cases, a deck might do well, not because of it having one of these qualities, but instead because it has a good matchup against a top tier deck. Now what do I mean by this? Well, at times there are decks like Altergeist that have a really good matchup against a deck like Goki's. So at Worlds, this was shown when around 19 competitors were playing Altergeist. This could also be called a meta call. These types of performances don't necessarily make the deck top tier, however, but it makes it more of a one-trick pony. So let's combine everything we talked about in this video by analyzing a deck like Sky Striker TRICKSTAR's and figure out why it's tier 1. To start, the broken aspect of the deck is the fact that the Sky Striker engine solves the issues of TRICKSTAR's. TRICKSTAR's is inherently a very powerful, consistent deck. It relies on CANDINA to get access to Licorice and continuously manage resources until you burn your opponent's life points to 0. The issue with the deck is it doesn't have much removal, or ways to get around monsters with 1800 or more attack. Also, the deck couldn't really make any Link summons before. In other words, the deck was slow. However, the Sky Striker engine solves both of these problems, with Engage giving you access to solid removals such as Afterburners, a card like Widow Anchor, Jamming Waves, and a link spamming potential with a card like Hornet Drones. This engine also gives you a follow-up when you have 3 or more spells in your grave to recover or gain resources. The deck is highly consistent with 3 Engage, 3 Hornet Drones, 3 CANDINA, 3 Light Stage, 3 Terraforming, and 3 Scapegoat. You can also tweak the variant to have more starters. The ceiling isn't the highest as it's not a combo deck but more of a control deck. However, this deck has a lot of versatility and links summoning with Nightmares, making Saryuja, the Boro links, Topologic links, etc. But as well has solid main deck options. But in the end, the grind game portion is where this deck thrives, being able to continuously output burn damage and eventually either out-resource your opponent, deal enough damage, and sometimes barely sneak away with a win. So overall, this is an overview of what makes a top tier deck. I hope you guys can maybe see now why meta decks are top tier, and maybe you can see now what will make a top tier deck in the future. Or you could just look at OCG results and make it easy. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I had a blast making this video as I really enjoy talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Theory, but I want your guys' opinions on this discussion. Did you find it interesting? Comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe as it helps the channel a lot. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.